You mean you want me to do the intro? That's like
It's
an
already
ant
happening.
pushing a tricycle. I can't do the intro. That's impossible.
An ant?
Pushing a tricycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know that common phrase.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this in the episode?
Yeah.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, it is.
Listen, John
Is this why
Lindsay
you
has
didn't want
lines.
Is this why you didn't want to do the intro because you weren't sure what was in the episode?
I was too distracted by the cute butt mouth people that look like cats.
Yes, finally some real aliens in here.
Was this the inspiration for the live action Cats movie?
I think it's a little past that in the time.
They have
of
no
life.
fur on their face.
They don't. They're just the buttholes.
Yeah, but just the butthole.
Oh, that feature of Cats, I understand now.
Yeah,
What episode is this?
that's right. It's Deja Q.
Wow.
Nailed
As
it.
you most surely have guessed by now.
Great intro, team.
Thanks.
This has been flawless.
Yeah.
It is Deja Q. It's episode 13 of season 3, where the crew of the Enterprise is attempting to help a planet threatened by their moon falling out of its orbit, and they're interrupted by Q, who's been stripped.
Don't let your
of-
moon talk to you like that.
Yeah.
You were interrupted by B.
You know what? That's about the level of interruption that we should expect from both Q and you. So that's fine. Diplomatic. But Q interrupts in a much more abrasive way, which is where he's sideways and naked, hovering in the middle of the bridge.
You know what? Don't threaten me.
Right? Good on him. At least he's not wearing green. Oh, wait.
These aren't my colors. I
That's constant.
love how serious he isn't, like, all the
Yeah.
time, and he is the most serious part of the next generation because he can do so much and has so much effect on everybody. But like the first two lines are just red alert
Right.
and these aren't my colors. Like,
Yeah.
you, what is happening?
This is interesting that there was a part of a butt on TV. I think this
Still
was
not
a
over
big
it.
deal for the time.
Probably.
And not
well,
even on a mouth. That's more normal and
That's- yeah.
acceptable.
Well, I wonder though, like, there's the different standard between like male nudity and then like frontal nudity, as opposed to anything else. So
We really just got like a haunch and like a part of a cheek.
yeah,
Ooh,
Really, right?
haunch. Good word.
Katie hates that I use that word.
haunch.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Come here, honey. Let me grab your haunch.
I should say shouldn't refer to anything I shouldn't refer to her anything on her as a haunch.
person.
But I'm just saying a haunch in general.
No.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a haunch
Right.
is. Is that a cut of pork?
I just say it's like the lower part of your back, right? The haunches.
Well, I think of it as like the back of a horse.
yeah. It's your
Okay.
horseback.
Yeah.
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 I don't know. We don't have the internet. We can't look this up. No one will know.
No one will
won't
know.
either.
It's fine.
He was
How
having
would
a
they
really
know?
rough day, though, so maybe you shouldn't be so hard on him.
It's true.
Things have honestly never been tougher.
Mhm.
I really love this plot idea. Like, this definitely felt like someone in
You
the red
had it-
room.
Wait, did we explain? Did we explain?
Kind of. The moon's falling, and then Q shows up, and that's pretty
Well-
much.
You're right. I didn't get to finish my sentence. Something interrupted me, but I was going to say Q's been stripped of his powers.
Oh.
I'm so sorry that happened to you
okay.
about the interrupting.
It's part of-
You should
part of
probably stand up for yourself.
No. But speaking of standing up for ourselves, Q is humiliated, literally and figuratively, by having to put on clothes, and explains to the crew of the Enterprise that he has been kicked out of the Continuum. And of course, no one believes him because he lies all
Yeah.
the time.
Why would they?
Why would they? Yeah, for sure. He's treated them like puppets, so why should they assume they're not being treated like puppets now? However, he doesn't really have any way to fight back against being pulled off of the bridge, and so when he asks them how to prove it, Worf says, "Die."
Very clever, Worf. Eat any good books lately?
Yeah, it was.
Zing!
Delancey has some good zingers in here.
This is when I think Q gets real fun. Like they started dabbling it within the first few episodes, but he was such a high school bully / older brother in a lot of his attitude, and he started to show his charm in it. But this is the episode where I love so much of his lines in this.
Oh, yeah, he really crushes. I mean, Q's the best. Deal with
Yep.
it. Period. Episode done.
It's what's interesting about him is that he's at his funniest when he is at his least powerful, which of course makes sense, right? That's when the jester, the jester's not the funny person in the court isn't the king, it's the jester. I don't know. I'm improvising that one.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah. No, it was perfect.
We got there.
I'm getting it printed on T-shirts.
Get the whole thing. So we find out that after Data scans Q, that it looks like he is a human and he's reading as human. So they're like, well, let's take him to the brig and see if he stays there.
Yeah.
And he does. And they assign Data to keep track of him because they need his help. They don't quite believe him that this moon isn't part of his doing, falling out of its orbit. So while they're trying to push the moon back into its proper orbit, which they've been failing at with their tractor beam technology, they start asking Q for ideas, right?
Man, yeah. Well, what do you do when a moon starts to fall? Does this happen often? Is this the Federation's problem when it does?
That's an interesting question. Well, it seems as though this civilization has enough advanced technology to be able to contact the Federation, and so observing this decaying orbit of a moon, eventually what's going to happen is it's going to crash into the planet. So if you're technically aware enough to ask for help, then the Federation is responding to a distress beacon, and it could be preventable.
Right. I call it Chicken Little syndrome.
Or the boy who cried wolf.
Ah!
That was not me. That was Q.
But the sky is actually falling. Like
the sky is falling.
Their continent is going to be obliterated, right?
Yeah.
Ugh, it's tough. Tough out there for a planet.
So wait, can I back up a second to what Xander just explained? So you're saying that we wouldn't have helped them normally if they couldn't have contacted us because of the Prime Directive?
Yep.
Sorry.
I guess we wouldn't have known to look there.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like,
what
if they
if you
had
were
come across.
observing?
What was that?
What if you were observing that planet where they had the anthropological question and they thought Picard was a god? What happens if that planet had its moon coming towards it? What do you do?
Because that's the thing, you would let it happen. Now, what I think Starfleet would do would be to observe the phenomenon. And then, because who knows, it could lead to an ice age, giving rise to another dominant species. You can never mess with the natural occurrence or the order of things. That's the Prime Directive, at least.
Yeah, Picard and Beverly especially wouldn't let that happen if they saw it. Not on their watch.
Right. They were able to find this planet because they reached out to them and asked for help.
With their butthole faces.
With their butthole faces.
Butthole faces. Cute little butthole. Jake, sorry for the people. faces. For the people listening to the podcast. But Jake,
For the makeup
really
artists who work on this show.
Yeah.
really think you did the viewers watching on YouTube a disservice by not making your green screen background the cat butt mouth people.
I'm just afraid it would get pulled down off of YouTube.
That's true.
Because just a couple of buttholes behind me.
Well, what you have right now is Q and Data, who end up
Just one butthole.
Just one butthole between them. They end up being a fun pairing.
Never thought about it before, but does Data have a butthole?
We talk a little bit about it in that he likes to consume some things. Who knows where it comes out?
Yeah, he mostly just likes to drink a tall glass of lubricant.
Yep.
Give me that ice cold lubricant, but also make it room temperature. It's better on my processing.
So this is a scene in 10 Forward where Q realizes after working in engineering and getting frustrated that he's a little hungry. Actually, right before this, we have a great scene to him where they're explaining to him the complexity of their problem. And he's like, I don't believe it, or something like that. They're like, what? He's like, I think I threw out my back.
Yep. There's these peppered moments of humanity that are in the very first one was he's put in the brig and he was like, I don't know what the heck just happened to me, but all of a sudden I couldn't move and I couldn't open my eyes and I was unconscious, and Picard is like, you fell asleep.
I just love that he almost never talks about the important plot point at all. He's just so fascinated with what his new limitations are.
What a fun character to write. Just, I burped. What is this strange thing? But he wouldn't know the word for it.
Totally.
that shot in the turbo lift with him going in the circle, just talking about how crappy humanity is. He's like, "I'll be tickled now. My hair will fall out." Like, I love
humanity is
scene.
suffering.
Yeah.
Sorry, Q. Deal with it.
The thing is, like, we have John Delancey as an amazing actor, and then we have Brent Spiner just as this reflection, also an amazing actor, and the two of them together are just perfect.
Yeah.
And the symmetry of Q being a human when Data has always wanted to be human. Data has a great line about that, like, you achieved in disgrace what I've always tried to achieve, like, as a purpose.
An irony. It means that you have achieved in disgrace what I have always aspired to be.
That's it.
Yeah.
Good line.
Great line.
Ugh. What a great juxtaposition. I totally agree, Xander. So Data takes Q to 10 forward when his stomach gets a rumbly, and he asks for suggestions, and we get another reference to Deanna Troy's favorite dessert when she's a little stressed, which is a chocolate sundae.
I feel like they're really laying this call out in hard. I want to know the origin story of the love of chocolate.
They just have to get character things in while they can. Picard hates kids. Troy likes chocolate.
Yeah. Riker plays a trombone.
Riker plays anything with legs.
Yeah, Riker is a trombone.
And even then. But this, we are in 10 forward. We get, chocolate sundaes make you feel better? I'll take 10.
I like that the bartender doesn't even question it. She's like, okay. And then get the bar assistant to also get 5 more so they can each carry 5 on a tray.
Also clearly hears that he's never eaten food before and doesn't blink at that.
Responsible serving is like giving him one at a time and checking in on him. You know?
Yeah.
Hey, do what you want.
This is really irresponsible serving behavior, but
just
it makes
all over 10 forward.
Speaking of serving, though, we've got Guinan serving looks. Can we talk about this outfit? Incredible.
Serving looks and serving forks.
Yes. Guinan coming in hot.
I didn't notice that her outfit was different than normal.
Yeah. It's got this red shimmer moment that was draped, and then the headpiece was incredible.
The headpiece was like not as like disc whiter. Yeah, disc-y. It looked a little silly, but this one is way
this
more
one's like a tube of lipstick that'll kick your ass.
Well said.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and again, Whoopi Goldberg nailing every scene that she's in. I love that they use her so sparingly, and I just love that they don't go into detail about their animosity. I mean, she mentions, that he uses species as his playthings, right? But we don't know what their history is, and he's definitely intimidated by her, and I love it because he's not intimidated by anybody. He talks down to everyone but her, and I just this scene was great. There's just so much gravitas on this.
Okay,
she lets him have it.
All she does. Oh, I'm seeing the outfit. It is drapey. It is red. It is gorgeous.
It's sparkly.
And then she does not hesitate before grabbing a very sharp fork and stabbing him in the hand. Ultimate power move. Didn't expect it.
I didn't expect that at all. Like, not a move I would write for Guinan either. I was kind of surprised, but I did. I ended up liking it, but I was like, I can't believe they just went to rash violence right away, right in front of Data. And I was like, and then you get like, oh yeah, he's probably tortured many people in her life, so I get it.
Yeah.
That's the least, because she's somewhat pacifistic otherwise. So
I think they've hinted that her species was tormented by the Q continuum
when she
had
there
is a history there.
The claw hands against him in that other episode, right?
The Q continuum or this specific Q?
There's no difference, Becca. Welcome.
Get out of town. Impossible. Don't believe it. You can't.
Well, they are all called Q too, because when Corbin Burnson makes his appearance, we realize that he is also a Q, right?
Wait, hold on. Joe, we can't get there yet.
Yeah.
Well, we're close, but that's fine. So what happens? So
when his back is pulled out, he casually drops that maybe if you could just change the gravitational constant of the universe, it would be no problem, and you could just fix everything all at once. But he makes an interesting point about examining the cause and not the symptom to Geordi, that perhaps there's a large celestial object passing at near right angles. What does that mean?
Oh, that you
a dimension we can't perceive? A black hole.
either a black hole or some sort of anomaly, something that you could latch on to, like a tether, or they just need to change the gravitational orbit of this thing by a little bit so that it doesn't crash into the planet. So if you could link it to something else, instead of changing the gravitational flow of the universe, change the flow of the object.
Yeah, you know what would be easier? Just get Q his powers back.
Just getting Q powers. But yeah, well, there was a great line in here too. Q becomes sort of like taken aback by the orders that are given, and he's like, who does Geordi think he is? And Data comes back with, he thinks he's in charge, and he is correct.
Data has this episode, Data has a ton of great lines because not only, pointing out the irony, but just the simple way in which he unadornedly explains things to Q in such a basic way. It's really beautiful, and it's really impressive writing that they can distill down a concept in a way that is so clear for the android to speak it.
It shows off Data's role as, this generation Spock, and why this character is in Star Trek, because they want a voice to reflect the many intricacies of humanity and our way of solving problems, right? And I love the way the Data defines it.
Well, not only that, we get one of the only times where the positions are reversed. Data is teaching someone else how to be human, showcasing the things that he's learned. This means you're hungry. This means you want chocolate. I know these things, and we are rarely seeing that. It's normally the opposite.
Data needs to be given some suggestions of what kind of normal food people should eat before they go to 10 Sundays. But yeah, it's good. Speaking of things that are unique to humanity, why does Q choose the Enterprise when he is told he must choose a species, become mortal, and go somewhere? And
it's because
he admits,
friends.
Yeah, he admits it's our not only the only thing that doesn't despise him and can tolerate him in the universe is Picard, but also the fact that humans have a unique capability for forgiveness.
Especially if it's your friend. And you're the only friend in the whole galaxy.
Oh, Picard, you're my friend.
It couldn't be for any other reason.
Well,
and
he also
gets called out, and yet they still fall for it.
He also said he only had like a few seconds to make the decision between that and like a Baruvian slug or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Could have been nice.
But yeah, I like that he has a fondness for us, right?
Could you prove that you have empathy and have feelings had you chosen a slug? How do slugs express their feelings?
That's true. But we find out that it was really for protection, that he knew that all of these people would be after him and that the Enterprise would be his best chance at being protected from them because he knew they would take pity on him.
Yes, both people and swirls of ionized gas, like the Calamarians, which attack as soon as they're trying to execute their first move of dragging this moon back into its correct position with the ship, I don't know, some fancy technobabble. And then they have to put the shields down in order to do that. And he gets all caught up in a cloud of whooshes.
Yeah. That's it.
That's essentially it. Yeah, they what did they do? They manipulated their warp field or something to
they're expanding their warp bubble to add gravity to their tractor beam to be able to push it more.
Yeah, that's a fun answer. But yes, as Becca mentioned, they lowered their shields to the point to where the ionized gas can freely attack, and does, unfortunately, because they have a personal vendetta against Q. We realize he might have messed with them significantly,
tortured, whatever.
Yeah,
but really, I think
they get their chance.
They were just trying to show him a particular dance move in the Q wiggle. It's where you light up
a good wiggle. Yeah,
I want to know the direction that he was given for that. What he was told the special effect was going to look like, because it was very much, as long as you don't move where your feet are and thrash about, you'll be correct.
It's a wacky inflatable
there are ants
arm, man.
Crawling all over you. Get them off.
I would imagine something like you're being manipulated by a gaseous alien species. What does that look like?
Go, John.
Can we try something else? Oh, we have to move on to make our day? Okay, I guess that's what we're going with.
Just nobody look at the dailies.
Yeah.
Some other good Q lines. This is getting on my nerves now that I have them.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in human interpersonal relationships. I just want to prove to Picard that I'm indispensable.
Yeah.
I also love that he references the Crusher's back on the show. He's like, Dr. Crusher, Starfleet has shipped you back into exile.
Yep.
Right? Because she's out in deep space.
Yeah. There was some other like meta stuff too. Yeah.
He's great. So the ionized gas is attacking us, and we can't get the moon back into its orbit and still hold off these life forms that are trying to attack Q. So that's our dilemma going into Act 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we care that much about them not getting Q? I guess.
Yeah, well, that's where we have to choose, right? Where Picard is like, I'm just going to ignore all the Q stuff that's happening and try to fix this immediate problem before this planet is destroyed. And ignoring the Q problem means that the entire Enterprise gets attacked because they didn't differentiate.
Although, even though the hull was breached by this spacious gas thing, it didn't really affect anything else. It was very targeted in its attack. So even though they tried to up their shields, and that's what aborted their first attempt at the moon mission, they don't really need to. They can make Q handle his own stuff. I'm just saying. I guess I'm no Captain Picard. I'll change my user handle.
But by then, Q's learned a lesson, right? Because at one of these attacks, Data tries to save him, and Data gets knocked out.
And we get some wire work in there.
Yeah. I looked like I don't think they shaved his head. I think they covered his hair and then put more makeup. And then his layering, how they do this on him, always blew me away as a kid. And it's still very impressive because it looks pretty great.
Yeah, well,
even looking closely, it's hard to tell sometimes.
I was talking about with Q, John Delancey gets put up on wires.
Well, wires!
Yeah. But also
no, you're right. Yes, the wiring. Yeah,
because he gets infected by the Calidarians or whatever they're called, and it starts floating away, and then Data just grabs him and is heavy enough to intercept whatever's happening.
Literally the only set we have on the ship where we can do a little bit of vertical work, and it always is in the warp core tunnel.
Yep. Well, good. They shot it in a wide. You don't see the wires that much.
No,
and
Data gotta use it.
Doesn't even think about it before sacrificing himself to try and protect this. Not even a member of the ship. Ship crew.
Yeah, this temporary human, right? And so Data
arguably has more humanity than his PC.
Soon to be ex-human.
Well, Geordi makes the point that, like, is this worth protecting Q anymore? And Q realizes to Picard, he's like, well, why would, if Data made a sacrifice for me and if our situation's reversed, what would I do? And that's where I guess it starts to click for him, right?
Yeah, because he's like, I wouldn't.
Yes, he admits that's not how I work, right?
Yeah. He's a real piece. Yeah.
Yep.
But he starts to feel a little bit of guilt, which must be that pesky humanity kicking in.
There it is.
Ugh, it's the worst.
That's how they get you.
Yeah. So he hops in a little transport. What do you call it? Little cruiser? Little shuttle.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm just going to let him get me. Sorry, Picard. I know your heart is probably broken, but I'm out. And it's kind of like, you just took our shuttle too.
Yeah.
We're not talking about it, but how are we going to get all our shuttle back?
This gets to an interesting perspective too, because it shifts to the things that Picard and the crew are doing, which is normally our focus, become the background. Especially some of their actions you just hear about, because as Jake mentioned, another representative of the Q continuum pokes his head into this shuttle, and they have a conversation, and they're like just casually referencing, oh, they tried to put your shields up, or they're trying to beam you over, I'm stopping all this from happening, or like
he had like very surfer blonde hair, the same outfit with the pinafore thing, pinafore onesie in gray. So
I wonder if the line about the color and the costuming being awful was written and then the costume created, or if that was thrown in after they got into wardrobe.
Wow.
What, the lines about the costumes?
Yeah. This isn't my color.
That's intentional. I think it's intentional. It's also kind of drab. I mean, even for the 90s civilian uniforms they give people on the show.
Yeah.
Like, they're always making fun. Like, the fact that the Q decide to wear their clothes is always to make fun of them. Because I love that Q's a captain whenever he wears the uniform.
That's right.
He's like the exact same rank as Picard. He's not above him and he's not below him. He's the same. I love that choice.
And he's constantly like, I want to be back in the uniform. Give me the uniform.
He's asking for it.
Yeah.
No, you didn't take the Starfleet exam. You can't have the uniform.
You don't deserve to wear that uniform.
That extra Q, I guess the other Q is what we'll call him, is Corbin Burnson. Yeah, Q2, of course. An actor who you may remember from like Major League in the 90s is what I remember him most from. He's on a ton of television as well.
Yeah.
And
a fun guest appearance though, because you can see how much character John Delancey gives to his version of Q as opposed to how another actor would portray it. And I think they're both charming, but they're different.
You need to have someone who's gonna, for lack of a better term, and this sounds arbitrary, you're gonna need someone who's gonna ham it up a little bit. Honestly,
totally.
Like they're both very theatrical, so you need someone who's gonna go for that as well. And I think it worked. They were great.
I think so.
Yeah. And I love the mischievousness of them too, because they're still bending the rules. So we learn that by this Q's standard, quote unquote, I guess what the other Q did was somewhat self-sacrificing. It was somewhat a quote selfless act, right?
Because and if that's in the timeline, that's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah. Can I just say he's very much Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber.
Yes.
Version
yeah. That hair.
The hair. Yeah, a little bit.
Like that Q.
Yeah.
Well, he, like our John Delancey Q, just doesn't want to deal with the rest of the continuum. It's so much explaining if this Q perishes under different circumstances, right? So let's just say you did it.
You did it.
I kind of like that. I like that there wasn't an over rationale, except for the fact that these Q are just like silly in their rationale, right?
Yeah.
They'll take what they can.
It's the flimsiest excuse to do anything. It's all fuzzy logic.
Yeah. I love that choice, honestly.
Yeah.
We deal so much with like hard logic in the show, especially the three of us also analyzing the logic. It's nice to just have like we do what we want. You've done it. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yep. In TTRPG, this is the rule of cool.
That's a good point. It is the rule
immediately he starts threatening the gaseous calamaris or whatever.
Yep.
The gas shrimp.
Yeah, the gas shrimp. Don't make me do it again. But yeah, he doesn't.
And then he like extinguishes them, and I wasn't sure if that murdered them or if they just got tiny and then went
dispersed.
Away.
They just have
dispersed.
It'll take 1 century to just get back together.
Yeah, no big deal. And Q actually shows that he is grateful by giving a little gift to Data as he departs. Well, in a mariachi band and like a bunch of other stuff.
The cigars.
The cigars got me. I lost it. Like, I just love the simple choices they make with him too. It's like not only is he celebrating with his mariachi band, but he's just like, you know what, and just snaps cigars into their mouths. Like, they have to take them out. I love.
But let Brent Spiner do anything. Just point a camera at him and let him do whatever he wants. I will watch it.
Yeah.
The transition from the deep laugh back into Data, not knowing what was happening, was a masterclass in facial acting, right?
So good.
Truly.
Also, that's the other fourth wall, semi fourth wall breaking moment. Xander was when he teleported those two women next to Riker. He goes, "You weren't like this before the beard."
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Pre-beard Riker, definitely.
Would have been all over that.
Yeah, post-beard Riker, he's more sensitive. He's more looking for an emotional connection.
And
he's like, I don't need this because I could get anything I want.
Although those women were extremely beautiful.
They were.
There was some serious underboob happening.
Yep.
Yeah, more boob than not.
Well, side boob, top boob, and under boob, depending on which outfit you're wearing.
And all dimensions into it either.
Yeah. Oh, and we didn't actually say that the gift that he gave Data with the incredible face acting is laughing, because one of his examples of the things he'll never be able to do, being not human and wanting to be, is to not know laughter or why it happens or what it feels like. And he did describe it afterwards as a wonderful feeling. Data had a feeling. Big deal.
Yeah.
It was a really nice moment, and then they did that corny little Q button where Picard goes to say engage, and puts another cigar in his hand, and then
Jake loves that joke though.
Jeez, the holographic smoke cue.
Mainly because I just didn't see it coming at any point, right?
Yeah.
Like,
even when it happened again.
I didn't see the second one coming at all. No.
There you go. Yeah. Would like to quickly notate that the butt mouth people,
Yes,
cat face butt mouth, they do the Wakanda Forever hand sign.
They do
on the way out.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah. And Q just fixed their moon, of course, because he could.
Yeah. He gets his powers back. I do think it's weird that Q refers to his abilities as powers. I thought that was an interesting writing choice in that it's not just I can't do what I like. I think abilities might have been a better choice. Just acknowledging that he had powers feels like a very human perspective. That's
a very good point. But he was a human in that instant, but he didn't have the experience of a human. That's a really good point that it was always like, why don't you know how to do these very simple things?
Yeah.
I think you mentioned it though, Becca, is that it's from the human perspective, right? Is because now he speaks from a place of absence of those powers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a missed fun joke. Of a lot of his jokes come out of I newly have this thing and I don't even know what it is that my belly rumbles.
Yeah.
What is this? I'm like debilitated. I feel severely handicapped.
Right.
Because you don't have your Q powers.
Exactly.
You mean the stuff everyone should have?
Yeah.
Yeah, his like just change the gravitational constant of the universe.
No big
I don't know, you just do it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Anyway.
Probably one of my favorite episodes of the season. I really liked this one.
Now, you two and all of the writers in the writer's room at the time were very tough on the last episode. It was very complex. We spoke about it for a lot longer. And yet Q gets in here and it's just like in and out, but everybody's happy. What's the difference here? Don't try so hard?
For me specifically, like I like both. I didn't dislike the last episode, but I do think that Star Trek is at its best when it tackles difficult issues with levity, or with this like utopian perspective of like there's a better way to deal with this than the tactics of terrorism or whatever, and it might be absurdity. And I think the approaching things with the Dali-esque absurd angle is a refreshing way to solve problems. It's literally thinking outside of the box or the frame or the television show in the meta-referencing. And I think that, especially for writing of the time, is very refreshing. But within Star Trek, it's just another genre of storytelling that we get to play in. So it scratches a different itch.
I very much agree with that. I like both types of episodes. And as I did rag on the last one a little bit, but I don't think that was because of the type of episode it was, because I do like a lot of those. I think it was that there was so much preaching in between the action. And also like the action served towards a preachiness that like still wasn't very compelling to me. That like I wasn't as moved by it. We've had a lot of episodes where there were a lot of those conflicts and there was a lot of exploration of those things. Measure of a Man was a really talky episode and preachy in its own way, but that wasn't so exposition-y, and they got into the issues through their talking, just like this episode did too. They got into the humanity by showing it, right? I thought that was more compelling.
Also, just a quick to point out that there's the difference between the dramatic acting and the comedic acting, and we had great examples of both, because while the first episode that we watched together today was a great example of this dramatic, close theatrical acting, this one was a masterclass in physical comedy and reacting and improv, and timing. It's all great.
Yeah, and for that reason, I much prefer Deja Q to our previous episode, because I love the comedy of it, and I think that's what really makes this show unique, is that it's never a space battle, but it can't always be a space negotiation. Sometimes it just has to be, what else is in the universe, and what can it do?
And it's probably weird.
I think we talked about this in early Q episodes, but when I was a kid, I didn't really like the Q episodes very much because I thought they were kind of like, I don't know if I thought they were dorky. I wanted the action. Yeah, cheesy. I wanted the action. I wanted space drama. I wanted, more adventures, whereas Q was always like poking fun at all my favorite heroes.
Yeah.
But now I love them. Now I can't get
children have no irony. No joke.
Well, there's also a perspective of what you're consuming at that age. When you're a kid, you're constantly getting these cheesy, aimed at kids entertainment. And then finally you get access to something that's more adult and action oriented. And then you see this cheesy stuff. But when you're an adult watching it, it's reminiscent and it's like, oh, it's light and fun. Let's do that, because you're constantly getting sort of heavier stuff.
Yeah. Well, more of this for sure in the future, especially if you're watching Picard. There might be some Q in your future too. But in our future, we've got more of season 3 of Star Trek: The Next Generation with A Matter of Perspective. When Riker is charged with the murder of a prominent scientist, each side uses the holodeck to show their side of the story.
It's a good one.
Ooh.
Oh, this sounds epic. Use the holodeck for more reenactments.
Yeah.
Let's just make it a murder mystery show. That'd be great.
Yes, all about that. All right, let's get to it.
It's
cigar. Oh, I said cigar.
cigar.
Oh, this is Shakar, your D&D show every Tuesday.
Yeah. Twitch.tv/thatbrownsgirl.
And then fade into the outro.